So in this video we're going to have less synchronization, less clicking, no typing. We're just going to use URLs and do the driver.get. We're going crazy! So welcome back to Let's Automate Google Search the bad way. The wrong way. Essentially, we should be using the API to automate it, but currently we're using the GUI. And one of the things we've said in previous videos is that we know that the URL changes when we do searches. We could take advantage of that possibly by, instead of filling in fields on the GUI, clicking links on the GUI, all we do is we change the URL. So this URL that I'm about to put in now should do a search for Prolog Programmer on google.co.uk starting at page 23, because it's essentially the page number minus 1 times 10. And we've seen this, if you've really noticed the URLs that we've been typing in, this is the core of what those URLs are. So there's search for Prolog Programmer on page 23. So in theory, I could just change the URLs. Let's go into page 25. Let's skip page 23. And what's interesting is when I do that, well, let's pick a different page, one that does match. Let's jump back to page 11, which is page 12 minus 1. I don't see the div. I don't see the secret div that stops me clicking when I do it via the URL. So I might not have to synchronize as much, and this might actually be faster to execute. So I'm just going to hack this out. This probably isn't the best way to do it, because if it does actually work, then I'll probably want to keep the two implementations for the Google with the GUI, clicking on the links, typing in forms, and this informal one that just messes with URLs. So let's give this a shot. Now hopefully, so the only thing I'm going to do in the test is change the search. The aim is nothing else in this abstraction has to change because I'm changing the implementation, and this is the reason why we build abstraction layers. So we can change the implementation, or when the system under test changes, we don't change our test code, we just change the abstraction layer. And in this case, we're changing the abstraction layer to make it more efficient. So let's start with the search for. So instead of doing a wait or creating a wait and filling in the field, we're just going to construct a URL. So let's say, so I'm going to have a URL encoded search term. So let's do that. Let's use the Java URL encoder. I want to encode it as UTF-8. Now I'm just going to try catch this because I'm using, oops, don't want to do that. What are you doing? Concentrate. Because I'm passing in a supported encoding exception, I don't expect this to ever throw this. So I'm just going to catch it and ignore it. Now let's build up the URL. So I'm going to have this as a field. I'm just going to build it by hand. I'm going to take the domain, add on the search path with the query parameter, and add on the URL encoded search string that we created. Let's add this as a field. Then let's do a search for it. And I will just end this code there, and I'm just going to comment out the code that was implemented via this. So what have we done? Instead of opening the page, so I'm going to get rid of that, let's get rid of that. What we're going to do is we're going to construct a URL and just get it. So the search is going to go directly to the first page of the search. We're not going to find the input field. We're not going to wait for it to be ready. We're not going to send keys in. We're not going to type it. We're just going to go straight to this URL. Results can remain the same. We're still using WebDriver, so this is the same. But I should be able to run the test now. I should be able to go into this and it should all just work. Let's have a look. There's our search on the first page, and the rest of it is waiting for the div, which doesn't appear. What it did there? Then clicking on links. So the div appears because we're clicking on links, and it's going through. So that worked. We can go to the first page by amending the URL. Let's stop this. So now the next thing we've got is we say, give me more results, get more results. This is where the bulk of our next work is going to be, I think, because I'm going to have to, instead of clicking on the link, create a URL and which has got the page number in it. So I'm going to have to track the page number. So every time I do get more results, it knows what page it was on, so it advances a page, then gets more results. And I want to do all this without amending the test, so let's have a quick look. So what I think I'm going to need is I'm going to need to not create a new results object each time. Let's start there. So I'm going to say so if Google search results equals null, then create Google search results. Google search results. The field doesn't exist yet, but it will in a second. So I've essentially, for this Google search object, created a internal singleton object for this Google search results. So every time I call results, if it hasn't already got a cached results object, then it will create one. And if it does have one, then it will return it. Now I know that I need to pass in the page number when I create it. So the first page obviously has already been loaded. So that's the current page number. And I'm also going to have to pass in the search URL because we're going to build on that to add the page number. So let's change the constructor to reflect that. Let's change the signature, then go in and amend this code. So this is going to be the page number. And this is the search URL. So let's add these as fields so that we can use them in the rest of the code. And let's make them fields. Now I'm going to want to amend that, so I'm not going to make it final, because I'm going to want to track the page every time we advance it. But search URL can be final. Now I noticed that when we were calling the URLs directly, we didn't see the div. So I'm just going to get rid of this synchronization here. I'm still going to wait for the footer. May not even have to do that, but it looked like I didn't need this flyer check, so I'll get rid of that. Then the next bulk of our changes is going to be in this get more results. Let's have a page URL, which will start by making the same as the search URL. Then we're going to add the page number on, and we want to advance that page number because every time we do get more results, we want to get the page, we want to get the results for the next page. So I'll have page URL equals page URL plus an extra parameter, which is the start index, I guess, on Google. Then we want our calculation for page number -1 times 10. So if it's page 0, then it'd be 0. If it's page 1, if it's page 2, then it'll be 2 minus 1, which gives us 1 times 10, which is what we see in the URL when we click on the links. Then I want to just get that. So I'm still using WebDriver, but all I'm using WebDriver for is to get the page and render it in the browser, and then get the result links. Because this is doing more work, I'm going to synchronize at this point. I'm going to use the synchronization method I've already got. And I have to return whether there are more results or not. And I'm going to reuse our existing code and say we've synchronized on it, so let's get the results. And if there are results there, so if the size is more than 0, then we can say that there are results. So I'll return that calculation. And then let me just comment out this. And I'm just commenting this out at the moment because I don't really know if it's going to work. If it does work, I'll probably want to keep both sets of code. So let's try that. Okay, that seems to be working. That's quite fast. There's a minimal of synchronization there. Let me stop this. In fact, let's leave it running and make sure it does actually stop properly. Okay, so that looked good. No exceptions. So let's try that with a search that we know works, or we know we find ourselves in the search. Okay, super fast. Excellent. So that was essentially a quick hack. That was an experiment. So I know that that works now. So what I should really do is I should refactor Google Search to an interface, have my Google Search through the GUI, implement that interface, and have my Google Search that uses URLs implement that interface. Google Search results should probably be an interface as well, but there's only one public method with that. So I'll probably make that an interface as well. And then what we might be able to do is plug in an HTTP library instead of using WebDriver, because we're essentially just hitting URLs. We're not really clicking on things. So anything that can, like something like curl that will give back HTML that we can then parse. So we might investigate HTTP and HTML libraries next. And that might even make it faster. It might even be more reliable. And if I code to interfaces and keep the old implementations, then I can jump between the two different approaches when I need to. But, I stress this, I should still really be using the Google Custom Search API. But I do love this type of application as API investigation and the misuse of the GUI. So I'll probably keep doing this. So we'll try HTTP or HTML libraries next, and I'll probably do some refactoring of this to interfaces. So always keep an eye on the system as you're automating it to see if there's any other ways that you can automate this that might give you an edge in maintainability or speed or reliability when you do this. And if you've got any other applications you'd like us to automate, then leave a comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a video.